Hey, what's up? This is Sifu Kuttel and welcome to another Taiji at home training. Now today we're going to be doing a simple stretching routine, but we're going to focus on the upper body because this is typically the more neglected part of stretching routines as everybody tries to just focus solely on the legs. So we're going to focus on the fingers, the wrists, the elbows, and the shoulders during this routine. And I have three main goals. One, I'll tell you right now. The other two, if you don't figure it out by the end of the video, I'll tell you there. But first thing we're going to do is just work on stretching the joints of the upper body. So let's get to work. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is start by stretching out my fingers. So go ahead and hold your hand out, palm down, and then just make sure that you keep your palm nice and flat as we do this. We're just going to wrap the other fingers around from our other hand and then pull it so it points straight up. That's all we're looking to do here. You shouldn't feel any pain. You should just feel the slack tighten up, and then you should feel the stretch going through the palm. And we'll just do that with every single finger. Notice I'm not trying to fight against it. I'm not trying to force everything else down. I'm just letting the finger stretch out itself. Okay, so that's all we're doing. Try to get a little more pressure underneath here rather than just going from the top. That tends to bend it too much. So we're just going to go from here. Same thing on the other hand. You can grab. Now you can also do this by turning your palm up and then pulling each finger downward, which also tends to get this stretch. Just make sure that you try to grab the entire finger as much as possible to pull down. Now for the thumbs, it's a little bit different. You want to reach your hand out so it's flat, like you're going to give almost like you're going to give a handshake. Grab your thumb and then crank it back as just with the wrist itself. And nice and slow, keep your hand level and then pull that thumb back. Try not to let it turn out to either side. So it's just going to go straight back here. Same thing on the other side, so we're just going to pull back. Notice I'm not trying to really prove anything in flexibility. I'm just trying to get that feeling so it's nice and tight right here, and I should feel that stretch. Next, let's work towards the hands and the wrists. So we're going to take one hand and we're going to hold it so that the fingertips point down, and then we're going to place our other hand on the top, and then we're just going to push inward towards our elbow. Now, nice and light here, don't go too fast, go very slow. Think of taking your hand, pushing these knuckles and folding it up towards the forearm. And after a time holding that one, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just give it a couple of seconds and hold it. Enjoy the stretch. Don't overdo it, just enjoy it. Okay, now from here, hold your hand out. What we're going to do is turn our palm over so that the palm is up. Grab underneath your other hand. Now, as I do this, I want to try to grab my thumb from underneath. This may feel a little bit weird if it's your first time doing it. And then I'm going to continue to turn my hand until my thumb points straight down. This is what I want. I should feel a nice stretch along the forearm here. Notice also it really makes my elbow tuck in. Again, don't overdo this, take your time, but we're going to hold this position for just a couple of seconds. Same thing on the other side. We're going to have our palm up, grab with your fingertips coming over the top, and then we're just going to turn so that the thumb points straight down. Holding for just a couple of seconds. Now there's more than one way to turn the wrist, so we're going to go the other direction. Start with your palm down and then point your thumb down, grab at the pinky, and then we're going to continue to turn. So this time you want to try to turn your thumb all the way so that it points back up. And if you can, that's very flexible, that's nice. But for most part, we'll just get it so that our palm is up and our thumb is pointing out towards the side. Again, you should feel this a little bit in the forearm as you do this. Okay, same thing, other side. So we turn the thumb down, grab, and then continue to turn your thumb towards the outside. Now, if you grab and it doesn't feel like you're doing anything, it's in your natural range of motion, then just go the other direction. You should feel this works a lot better with the thumb rolling and the fingers rolling back. Okay, now from this position, go ahead and extend that arm out. There's two ways that you can do this, and this is going to not feel like the most extreme stretch. Not like when you stretch your legs, you're not going to feel this along the entire leg, but this is actually a really great way to let the arm loosen up, especially after a hyperextension of the elbow. So right where your elbow is, we're going to go just a little bit further back up the arm, and you can either place your forearm here, or you can place your hand here. And all we're going to do is just let the weight of the arm relax over it. Okay, so just relax this arm, let this hand sink down naturally. I'm not forcing anything, I'm not trying to push my arm down, I'm just letting it relax. Now, of course, this is a strange position to do this. If you wanted to really stretch out after hyperextension, what I would suggest is getting a foam noodle, or you can roll up a towel, lay down on the ground with the noodle underneath, and then just let the body relax and hold it there for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then relax and rest for about 2 to 3 minutes in between. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. This is just a nice way to do it to get comfortable with the position, and then also just a gentle way of stretching. We don't want to overdo it, especially in this position. From here, we're going to take our hand, place it underneath at the ribs. You can think of putting your hand in your armpit. Just make sure you tuck your thumb in. And then what we're going to do is come up underneath and then push our elbow up. Try to touch your elbow to your opposite shoulder. Spoiler, it's not possible. Now, same thing on the other side. Again, hand in the ribs. Other hand scoop underneath and then raise up. You should feel a nice stretch in the shoulder here. Now from here, we're going to hit both arms at the same time. So I want you to take your hands, place them behind you, trying to do like the folded hands position as best as possible. If not, it's okay to overlap your hand just like this, palm over the other. And then what we're going to do is start from low and then reach up high, and then low and then reach up high. If your hands are folded over like this, just switch your hands. So the other one is behind, because you will feel a little bit more of a stretch in one arm as compared to the other. And that's all we really want to do in that one. Now the last stretch we're going to do is we're going to reach up with our arm, and then think of touching your shoulder behind you, like you're going to give yourself a pat on the back. And then the last thing we're going to do is take our hand and push that elbow back. Now there are many ways that you can do this. A lot of times people try to just put it behind the head, but I like to do this because it goes straight back when you put the hand right here, and you want to try to think of reaching back behind you as far as possible. If you're flexible enough, you can grab with your fingers behind your back and pull up and down. But again, the main thing I want here is to keep this elbow straight up, not turning out to the side. So we want it to be forward. Same thing with the other side. Reach back like you're going to tap yourself on the back, and then push that elbow up and back. You should feel it open up nice and strong right here. Okay, so a nice good stretch. Now each of these stretches we're going to hold for about 8 to 10 seconds. Really don't overdo it. Again, I can't stress that enough. If you do overdo it on these particular stretches, you're going to feel pain. So take it nice and slow and easy. Okay, so there you go. A nice simple routine to work on stretching things that we usually just overlook because we have a natural range of motion for it and we don't feel like we need to increase the flexibility for it. Now, of course, there's a lot more that you can do, but these fell under a specific theme. And if you already have martial arts training, you've probably figured it out by now. All of these are related to joint locks. So there's two benefits to doing this besides just the stretching that I mentioned earlier. The other two components here are that you get comfortable in a particular joint lock. So one of the things that when you first learn joint locking, or when somebody's actually doing a joint lock against you, is some people tend to freak out and tap out too quickly before the lock is actually secured. Now, I'm not saying this is to teach you to just kind of, mind over matter and power through it, because that's usually how people end up getting broken. But I do want you to get comfortable and understand that there's a certain amount that you can remain in the joint lock before the pain begins and before things start to tear and break. So as you learn that, you also start feeling where the pressure should be, which should lead into the second part, and that's to enhance your joint locking so you get comfortable in actually setting these things up. So you know where the body is not going to feel anything, and then once you feel that resistance, then you start getting into the pain part, and that's where you start knowing where the effective part of a joint lock is. That's really important because when you're working with a partner, you don't want to just be going slow because you think it might hurt here, but you don't really know where where they start to feel pain, and they can just slip out of it or force against it. So you want to know where that ends so you don't end up being too soft on your partner. But then also you know where to stop because you know where pain should be expected, because there's always going to be some kind of a hard head working with you that they want to try to muscle through it or try to mind over matter, and then that's where you could accidentally injure a partner. So you want to avoid that and just kind of know where the body works and functions. So again, like I said, this is about stretching, but it's also building your comfort with being joint locked and joint locking itself, because again, these are the things that you would be doing to your opponents during joint locking, and some of a couple of quick basic locks. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you stretch out, and I hope this enhances your entire martial arts experience. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Otherwise, make sure to hit that like button. And as always, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.